The Independent Police Complaints Authority report into the Jevon McSkimming case has just been released. It contains bombshell claims that the highest-ranking police officers in the country ignored anonymous allegations that McSkimming was a sexual predator. A police media conference is being held at the Beehive with Commissioner Richard Chambers, Police Minister Mark Mitchell and the Public Service Minister Judith Collins. We'll cross to that now.
Was failed by former senior police and by the system. What is also clear is that this cannot continue to happen. That is why the government is acting decisively to install the strongest statutory oversight mechanism available to it, Inspector General of Police. An Inspector General of Police would bolster the IPCA, which would transition into the new oversight body, but with additional powers and functions. Details are still being worked on, but the end result will be to restore public confidence in police. New Zealanders will rightly ask how someone facing such serious allegations as McSkimming was appointed to one of the most senior roles in police and later considered for an even higher one. The government shares this concern, and we're taking action. The IPCA report also raises questions about the recruitment process for McSkimming to become Deputy Police Commissioner. The Public Service Commission, or PSC, has taken this seriously and proactively commissioned an independent review of its appointment process, led by Miriam Dean KC. That review found the process was generally sound, but it also found areas where the PSC could have gone further. Those recommendations have now been implemented, and the PSC has strengthened its integrity checks, improved documentation and added new steps to make sure candidates and referees are upfront and honest. But even the best processes rely on full and honest disclosure, and in this case, that did not happen. Let's be clear, this could have been avoided if senior police at the time had acted with integrity, called out bad behaviour when they saw it, and properly investigated allegations when they were made. The public has to be able to trust the police and have trust in our leaders and our public sector, and they have a right to expect that when things go wrong, people are held to account, and that is what we are doing. I'll now hand over to my colleague, Police Minister Mark Mitchell.
Thank you, Attorney General. Good evening. I want to acknowledge the Independent Police Conduct Authority for their comprehensive work on the report. The findings reveal significant flaws in decision-making, judgment and actions, raising serious concerns regarding the integrity and conduct of a group of individuals, primarily at the very top of the previous police executive. In saying this, I acknowledge those staff highlighted in the review as having showed exceptional moral courage. They have done themselves, their colleagues and their organisation proud. At the centre of the investigation is a woman who has been let down by the previous police executive and the system. I cannot express how frustrated and disappointed I've been since becoming aware of the situation. I can assure her and all New Zealanders that the government is taking these findings extremely seriously. On becoming Police Minister, I've been unequivocal in my expectations of police that conduct and integrity must be held at the highest standard across the police service. I've acted decisively at every juncture in standing down and then recommending the removal of the former Deputy Police Commissioner. As a government, we will continue to do what is needed to ensure this does not happen again. Police have also accepted all the recommendations in the report. The Police Commissioner will speak to that in more detail shortly. The New Zealand Police enjoy strong public trust and confidence. It is imperative that this trust is maintained. That comes with strong action on the part of the government. Finally, I do want to stress that these adverse findings should not be seen as a reflection on our police service as a whole. There are 15,000 dedicated men and women in police who serve and protect our communities with distinction and bravery every day. I want to emphasise how proud I am of our outstanding frontline staff and restate that this government backs our police in the critical work they do. Like most Kiwis and our police officers, I'm extremely disappointed in what has been revealed by this report. I want the public to be reassured that this government takes this seriously and is working to do everything we need to do to prevent this happening again. I'll now ask the Commissioner to make some comments.
Thank you, Minister and Attorney General. The events and findings set out in the IPCA report made for appalling reading and showed a total lack of leadership and integrity at the highest level. The report is thorough and convincing, and I accept the recommendations and the intent of them. The report has set out troubling departures by former senior leaders of police from the usual processes for dealing both with sexual assault complaints and with investigations into police officers. It was not until late 2024 that an investigation was set up to properly investigate those claims. That should have happened from the start. Prior to that, integrity checks and balances were bypassed. There was interference from the highest levels, and the interests and ambitions of a senior police officer were put above the interests of a vulnerable woman. I want to apologise to the woman at the centre of this for the repeated early failures in following the proper processes investigating this matter by those at such a senior level of police. You had asked for help, you were badly let down. That was unacceptable. I acknowledge those police staff who did stand up and challenge what was happening here. I thank them for their courage, for their leadership, and the integrity they showed in doing so. What has happened here has angered me. It was a kick in the guts for the 15,000 women and men of New Zealand Police who turn up to work every day and night to serve New Zealanders and keep them safe. It was not those staff who were found wanting here. It was a failing of leadership. The actions and attitudes set out in the report are inexcusable and show disrespect and disregard for what New Zealand Police stands for. My new leadership team will take ownership of the response to this and implement recommendations swiftly. Some steps have already been taken. I have appointed an independent King's Counsel to conduct employment investigations where required. I am currently undertaking an extensive refresh of the police executive and wider leadership, including the appointment of 2 statutory deputy commissioners. The IPCA recommendations to strengthen the role of the Integrity and Conduct Unit will form part of that refresh. I look forward to getting the new executive in place to help me steer New Zealand Police. The report's recommendations are relevant to other work I already have underway to strengthen integrity. A revision of the Police Code of Conduct is underway aimed at strengthening accountability. I recently ordered an immediate uplift of the Police National Integrity Unit with an additional 6 investigators. That unit handles investigations into police staff. The processes for investigating senior leaders were too easily ignored and bypassed here, despite objections by some. That is a concern, and I agree extra safeguards are needed. I welcome the IPCA's recommendations and the government's decisions in terms of achieving that. Earlier this year, I also invited the Public Service Commission to conduct a performance improvement review into police with a particular focus on integrity and culture. that is now happening. I expect my new leadership team to show integrity and competence, to be in touch with the front line and with the expectations of the public. Leading New Zealand Police is a privilege and rightly carries responsibilities and expectations. From day one, leadership and accountability have been priorities for me. Integrity is a core value of the New Zealand Police, and I have emphasised standards and expectations many times.
Investigative reporter Paula Penfold has been working on this story, and you're going to unpack it with us now. Paula, can you just summarise the key points of all of this?
Sure. You can tell by the sombre tone of that presentation that this is an absolute shocker of a report, Imo. What it shows is that the IPCA found that there were significant failings in how senior police responded to serious complaints made about McSkimming in 2023 and 2024. It said while there was no evidence of collusion between officers, there was serious misconduct by a number of very senior officers and other senior police employees. The findings are against then Commissioner Andrew Coster, 2 Deputy Commissioners and an Assistant Commissioner. The findings are over the way they handled complaints about McSkimming, including allegations of sexual interaction without consent, threats to use an intimate visual recording, and misuse of a police credit card and property to further a sexual relationship. Some of the complaints alleged criminal conduct, others alleged behaviour constituting a potential breach of the police code of conduct. And they arose from a sexual relationship that McSkimming had had between himself and the complainant that had developed in 2016 when she was 21 and he was 40. Now, importantly, the IPCA said the police response to these complaints was characterised by inaction and unquestioning acceptance of McSkimming's version of events. It said that there was no effective action taken to investigate the complaints. Instead, and this is crucial, the only investigation that was launched focused on potential offences by the complainant under the Harmful Digital Communications Act, and she was prosecuted.
So it's incredibly damning, and specifically of then Police Commissioner Andrew Coster and other senior officers.
It doesn't get any higher in the police echelons than this. It also says, this report by the IPCA, that there was an unacceptable delay in initiating an investigation, which did not commence until months after these complaints in July 2024. The IPCA was not notified, as it is required to be under statute, and when it finally was notified in October 2024, the IPCA has found that then Commissioner Coster, and I quote, attempted to influence the nature and extent of the investigation and the time frame for its completion. And that was perceived by some others within the police as being designed to bring the investigation to a rapid and premature conclusion. It doesn't get any more serious than this.
Yeah, no, very serious indeed. Investigative reporter Paula Penfold, thank you so much for unpacking that. Tēnā koe.